Hello, Mrs. Allison here, and today we're going to look at factoring trinomials. So what is a trinomial? The definition is a polynomial with three terms in standard form. So if we remember our standard form from our forms last week, standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where your highest degree term goes first. So here are some examples of trinomials. I have 1, 2, 3 terms here. 1, 2, 3 terms here, and 1, 2, 3 terms here. Here are going to be our steps today to factor. First, we're going to look for the GCF, just like you were practicing on the last lesson. Then we're going to do head times butt, that adds to get the gut. Then we're going to factor by grouping, and lastly, we always want to check our answers. Here is my first example. So the first thing I want to look for is a GCF. Well, I can see there is no GCF I can pull out of all three terms. So then I will do head times butt. Now remember, I have a 1 in front. If there's no term or no number in front of our highest degree, we can put a 1. So head times butt gives me 6. Okay, all of my factors of 6 so that I want to get to add to the gut, our gut would be 5, that middle number there. So here are all my factors, 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. The only ones that add to give me 5 are 2 and 3. So those are the terms I'm going to use to split my middle term up. So then I split 5x up into 2x and 3x. I'll bring down the x squared and the 6. And then I go ahead and group. I'll group my first two terms together and my second two terms together. And then I look for pulling out the GCF. So in my first group, I'm going to pull out an x. That leaves me with x plus 2. In my second group, I'll pull out a 3, leaves me with x plus 2. Just a little hint, your parentheses should always match up. So then I'm going to take my GCFs, the x and the 3, and put them together and make a factor, x plus 3. And then I bring down that second parentheses of x plus 2, and there's my answer. I can then check my answer. If I multiply that back out, I should get my original. So x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, 3x would give me 5x, and then 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, here's another example. So first I want to look for a GCF. There is no GCF because I cannot pull a number out of all three terms. So then I'm going to do head times butt. Remember our head is 1 here. So I want factors of 20 that give me the gut, which would be 9 or negative 9 in this case. So I want to list all my factors of 20. I have negative 1 times negative 20, negative 2 times negative 10, and negative 4 times negative 5. Notice I'm using negatives here because they multiply to give me a positive 20, but add to give me a negative 9. So my two factors would be negative 4 and negative 5. Those are the two factors I'm going to use to split up my middle term. Okay, so x squared minus 5x minus 4x plus 20. By the way, it doesn't matter which order you put these in. I could put the negative 4x and then the 5x. Doesn't matter which order. Okay, then I can go ahead and group my two terms. So I have x squared minus 5x together and negative 4x plus 20 together. Pull out my GCF in both groups. So my GCF in the first group is x, leaving me with x minus 5. My GCF in the second group is going to be negative 4. That's what's going to give me x minus 5. Then I put my x and my negative 4 together in one factor, and I bring down the x minus 5. And then lastly, I would check my answer by distributing it back out. Okay, we are now writing our standard form into factored form here. Example 3. Okay, once again, if I look for a GCF, I do not have a GCF here. So I'm going to take head times butt. My head would be 1. So 1 times negative 12 gives me negative 12. I want to find numbers that multiply to give me negative 12 and add to give me the gut of 4. So I list out all my factors of negative 12. Notice I have variations I can do. Negative 1 and 12, 1 and negative 12. Negative 2 and 6, 2 and negative 6. As long as one of them is negative, that's what's going to give me a negative 12. So if I want a positive 4, I have to find the group that's going to give me a positive 4, which would be negative 2 and 6 gives me positive 4. So those are going to be the two factors I use to split my middle term. Once again, the order in which you put these does not matter. I could switch and put negative 2x first and positive 6x second. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and group, pull out my GCF. So my GCF in the first group is x, leaving me with x plus 6. GCF in the second group is negative 2, leaving me with x plus 6. And then I put my two GCFs together in one factor and bring down the x plus 6. There's my answer. Once again, I could check by multiplying. X squared, positive 6x, negative 6x will give me 4x, and then negative 12. So once again, we are going from standard form here to factored form. Okay, let's take a look at the last example here. Now in this example, you should notice I see a GCF. My GCF I can pull out of all three terms is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and take that 2 out, divide it out of each term, leaves me with this new trinomial of x squared minus 3x minus 18. I just divided all three of these terms by 2. Now, this 2 ends up going in my final answer, so I'm going to drop it down and bring it in front as a vertical stretch of 2. Okay, so now I'm just focused on the x squared minus 3x minus 18 portion here. And I'm once again going to do head times butt. So my head is now 1 because I took out that 2. So I want factors of negative 18 that add to give me negative 3. So I'm going to list out all my factors of negative 18. Once again, I just have to have one of them be negative. And I want one that gives me negative 3, which would be 3 and negative 6. Those add to give me negative 3 and multiply to give me negative 18. So I'm going to go ahead and split up my middle terms there into negative 6x and 3x. And then we go ahead and group, pull out my GCF in the first group, which would be x, leaves me with x minus 6. GCF in the second group is positive 3, leaves me with x minus 6. I'll take the x and the positive 3 and put them together in one factor, and then the x minus 6 as my second factor. Notice my final answer there has that 2 that we pulled out as our GCF in the very beginning in front, and then my other factors here of x plus 3 and x minus 6. Once again, I could check my answer by multiplying it all out, and I should get this original. Or I could use Desmos, and I could graph both functions here, the factored form and the standard form, and it should be the same graph. Okay, so now you are going to complete the assignment on factoring trinomials day 1 practice. Please reach out to your teacher if you have any questions. Have an awesome day.